Hi there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today you're joining me in something that I believe to be quite an understated car, or an overlooked car maybe. It's one that has come into me via a part exchange. He'd bought a BMW 535i, needed something just a little bit bigger, of which of course that is. But I am in a Jaguar XE R-Sport. But not just the trim of the R-Sport, I'm actually in the 3-litre V6 Supercharged version of. So this thing produces 340 brake horsepower and sounds fantastic whilst doing so. It was one where I saw it come through as like a valuation thing. I thought, oh, you know, nice stock, wouldn't be a bad car. I quite like the Jaguars, part of the Land Rover Jaguar brand. I kind of half had an idea in my mind as to what to expect. But then we decided I would deliver the BMW. He's only about 20 miles away from me, so I thought, well, I'll deliver him the BMW and drive this one back. And I had the most fun in those 20 miles driving back. I think it's a cracking little pocket rocket, really. It takes me back a few years ago when I worked for BMW. I used to have an M140i as a company car, and again, that was a 3-litre, that was a straight 6, not the V6, but that was 340 brake horsepower, sounded great whilst doing so, and a little bit of like a bit of a menace of a car. But this one here has a bit of like a more sophisticated feel to it, should I say, because I'm in the ordinary road going mode now, just in normal. I can feel I've got the power under the pedal, but it all feels very civilized and sophisticated. I've got a lovely leather steering wheel, multifunctional. There are a few nice special bits about the R-Sport, for example, the beautiful blue that it has in the exterior, and then on the interior you got the two-tone leather, the oyster and the jet black, and it's a colour combination I myself would choose, so maybe that's kind of like persuading me a little bit more to like the car, because I would choose this colour combination. It's got a few extras, being the R-Sport you kind of anticipate that it would. The Meridian sound system, which is fantastic, and what I love about the Jags is they do this beautiful like wrap around on the dash, which is really quite smart. It's also got this lovely big sunroof which opens up as well. On a day like today I'd ordinarily have it open, but obviously we'd have horrendous wind noise, so I'll keep it closed for the time being. But all in all, a few extras, including a 20-inch alloy, so it sits really nicely and just looks a real smart car. So I was very pleasantly surprised when I got there. This one here is a 2016 65 plate, so it was registered in the very early months of 2016, and it's only done 59,000 miles, so it's really not too bad on the mileage for its age. But yeah, just started driving back as I ordinarily do, and just felt like I had a little bit more get up and go about it, a bit of a fruitiness. So I put it into dynamic like I do now. The dials go red, a bit of a red on the dash, and then when you put your foot down, which we will when we come around this corner, it kind of like comes alive and sounds fantastic. Oh, I mean, that can't not let you smile. That is just something about it, just fantastic. I think that 340 brake horsepower is a real sweet spot, especially for the roads that I drive around here in Devon, where you can have a bit of fun, but you don't feel like you're going to put your foot down and end up in a hedge, you know, 100 meters away. It's a very manageable power. It lets you feel the excitement, and you still have to have your wits about you. But I've driven C63s and RS6s and things like that, where you're talking like 470 brake horsepower, 560 brake horsepower. Tremendous cars, absolutely phenomenal engineering that goes into them, but you are always that little bit worried to put your foot down, because the engine can still be spooling itself up. You've taken your foot off and it hasn't quite reacted, and it hasn't quite slowed down as quick as you'd hope, and you can sometimes catch yourself out. But 340 brake horsepower in a car like this, where you can feel very relaxed, very comfortable, but you feel like you want to have a bit of fun in these lanes, it'll allow you to do that, and it can kind of push you to your limit, all whilst being very safe, obviously, without overdoing it. It's a very nice level of power, I find. And as I say, it sounds fantastic. I've had this same engine in a Discovery 5, again, the 3-litre V6 Supercharged petrol. That was a cracking car. That was a HSE luxury with all the spec. Didn't sound like this though, so this has obviously got some kind of R-Sport exhaust. The way that it just revs up and goes, and as I say, you can feel like you're having fun without overdoing it, because I feel like if I'd have done that on a C63, I'd have been backing off way sooner, because it would just still be spooling up. Not that that's a bad thing. If you want a C63 and you want near 500 horsepower, 470 right brake horsepower, cracking cars, can't take it away. But there's just something about this kind of level that you just sit real comfortable and you still have your fun, but then I can put it back into the drive mode, into normal, and then I can feel like it's just, everything's quietened down, it's all slowed itself up, the throttle's a little bit softer, the steering's now come a little lighter, obviously the dials go back to their ordinary colours, it doesn't have that racing red or anything like that. It's not too loud in here either. I can just sit and have a very normal conversation with whoever's in the car. No one's going to realistically know that you're in this 3-litre V6 Supercharged, which sounds fantastic, until you're heavy with your right foot, and I really like that about it. Maybe that's why it's overlooked / understated. Maybe there are more of them than I think, I just don't really see them, because the way that they look, you have to really kind of know what you're looking for in order to know what kind of car that it is. So yeah, tremendous fun on the drive back, and I've driven it around for a couple of days, any excuse to really. I needed a new tyre valve, and I took it to a tyre place which is further away than I needed to, just because I enjoyed jumping in and having a drive. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some downsides to having a 3-litre V6 petrol supercharged. It's not the most economic of cars, should I say. So we've been blasting about the lanes and stuff, and on the last couple of days driving that I've done, I've averaged about 28 miles to the gallon. And I've had tremendous fun doing it, and I'd like to think that obviously if I was to use this as an everyday car, I'd drive it certainly more sensibly. I'd like to think I'd get into the higher end of 30s, but do you really want to when you've got this kind of fun under the bonnet? I think, you know, it's more for the shorter drives and the lanes that I tend to drive around and everything. I think they're tremendous fun. I really do. So yeah, going back to more of the usual bits that I do, you know, it's worn very well. As I say, it's only done 59,000 miles since 2016, but nothing's ripped or torn. All of the buttons are in great condition. There's nothing that's flaked away or anything like that. The screen actually still feels quite relevant. I still like that about the Land Rover Jaguar product. You know, you don't jump in and go, oh, that's a really old information system. Not on this particular model anyway. You've got your Bluetooth. It doesn't have the Apple CarPlay or anything like that. You can get them retrofitted for these from these systems for the latest updates and things like that. But to be honest with you, it doesn't necessarily make the difference for me. You know, I still be able to stream my Bluetooth and things. That's all I realistically want it to do. These seats are lovely and comfortable. It's got like the 14-way electric seats in this one with lumbar support, which is really nice to have, with memory settings. That's down here. But I've got heated seats as well, and again, that's an additional extra. All very simple and easy to use. Again, I like the physical buttons. I've got dual climate control. It's very easy to look at and to work out. And I've also got the touchscreen element here as well. The satellite navigation, it's okay. It's not the best. You know, Apple CarPlay, maybe that is a winner for people that are continuously going to new places and things like that. It might be worth looking to getting that retrofitted. But as it stands for me, I don't really go to many places that I don't know. And if I do, and I needed to use my phone, then I could do so. I'd get a mount or something like that. But all in all, it's very capable for the age of the vehicle and what it is. It doesn't seem to lag. It's not very, you know, it's not the quickest thing, but it's not the slowest thing either. As mentioned, the sunroof's lovely to have. The finish, I think, is beautiful on the Jaguar product, because it's got the two-tone leather seats. It's also got the two-tone, so you've got a leather dash with like the white stitching, and I think the little things like that can make the difference. It's got electric heated power fold mirrors with the anti-dazzle, so if there's something bright behind you, it obviously dims that light down. Rear parking sensors, it would be nice if it had the rear camera, but it doesn't. It doesn't even have the front sensors on this one actually. I think that's part of like a park pack, so to speak. But I imagine that would be a nice additional extra should you want to go for one. The more important one, I think, for an R-Sport to make it look right are these 20-inch alloys. I think they look great, and got nice big calipers behind them as well. Obviously with the red colouring, it's just a little bit of a contrast, which is quite nice. But all in all, great fun car to be in. It's not the most economical. It is relatively small as saloons go. As I say, the XF might be just a little bit bigger and a little bit more practical for most, but the XE, I think it's lovely. I think it's a good size. It's easy to manoeuvre, easy to park, great fun. You don't feel like you're going to put yourself into too much of a danger, especially on a dry road like it is today. And if you want to put your foot down, then you can without the worry of going into that hedge over there. So yeah, I think it's a thumbs up for me. It's one that's taken me pleasantly by surprise. It's not the most economical. You do have to look out for timing chain issues on these engines. Fortunately, this one doesn't have it, but they are known for it. If you are going to have a look at one, please try and, if you can, start it from cold, because that's when chain rattles tend to be most apparent. But if it's got a good service history with regular oil changes and things like that, you're at less risk of that being the case, because the way that it works is obviously just your oil thins out, tensioners aren't quite up to tension quite so quick, and that's when you start getting a stretched chain. So yeah, have a look out for those things there. I will get the gearbox service next. I always believe it's worth having done on these 8-speed ZF gearboxes. It's just had an engine oil and filter change and an air filter change. They did tell me that it's a long life fuel filter, which is a bit of a, I don't know, I've always just thought, is there such a thing as a long life filter? But apparently there is. So yeah, so this was obviously done in the workshops that I use, and everything else was given like a clean bill of health. So they are out there, they're really quite nice, they're very good value. So this one here I've got up at 16,995. That's listed as great price on Auto Trader, and there's loads of people taking a look at it and saving it to their Auto Traders and things like that. So I don't think I'd have it for too long, but you never know. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you.